Hello, Sagittarius. Welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor. And tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. All right, Sagittarius. Tonight we have the Princess of Discs energy. One that is so very potent. She is, if you can see in this image, right in the midsection here, she is in fact pregnant with life, right? Now, in the context of the cards, this doesn't necessarily mean, fertility or a physical pregnancy IRL. Right? It doesn't necessarily mean that. So don't get worried. But often what it does lean towards is a fertility of creativity. The beginnings of a wealth of resources that not very first stage of, well, I guess initiation or mastery, but maybe a couple clicks in, right? You're still in the outer temple. You're still learning, the very basic things, which are the most important. Keep that in mind. And yeah, there is movement. There is growth. There is a growing passion. Now, if you've ever stuck with anything for any amount of time, something that you enjoyed doing, something that, caught your fancy, and maybe it's something that you did because you just needed to, right? Like went to school for a skill that maybe it's a family thing. You're following in the footsteps. It's not the most exciting thing to you at first. But as you get a couple, as I said, clicks in, and you start to really hit that stride. You get into that flow, right? You have a taste of, wow, I actually am pretty good at this. I actually am getting onto this, right? Now we're going to lift this thing up and we're going to take a look at these tea leaves. So I have to say, immediately I feel jovial spirits, right? I feel like you are in a place of awe in your own life. Little moments of, deep breath, feeling taken in by, the glory of things. Now, I'm not saying that you're in this like ecstatic, just wonderful, overflowing, permanent state of being. These kinds of highs are limited in our lives, as they should be. Because if they were all the time, they wouldn't mean that much. Or at least it wouldn't feel as important. It might even begin to feel like another prison. But we'll get to that. Maybe not in this reading. But I don't know. Maybe we will. How sweet things become, how good living sometimes can become the ultimate, enemy, really, of success, of growth, of self-refinement. We should not be comfortable all the time. I heard somebody say somewhere that we should, I think I'm quoting Matt McCustard. If you know who that is, you McCustard. Terrible. But in a podcast, there's a moment where they're talking about something, I don't know. But he says, yeah, every meal shouldn't be the most delicious meal ever. If it is, you know, basically you're not going to make it. You know, it just the pursuit of everything being good all the time, not even good, just like overly just sensational, lush, you know, luxurious. It sounds great, but not always the best friend to developing oneself, right? So I'm looking at this and I see we have a person with, you can see here, here's the head, here's the arm, the body, reaching up. Up here we have a duck, okay? Over here we have another person. It looks like they're carrying something. There maybe is a dog next to them. You can see the legs of the dog, the leg of the dog, the head right here, and this is the other person. Now, we also have a person over here. Okay, and I would say these almost look like children. This one looks like an older adult, possibly. We also have somebody over here who is holding a flag. We have a family, a person here. We have a baby, and we have a person over here who to me, it looks very much, because the baby looks like the star, I think we have this very like solar, lunar energy, masculine, feminine energy combining into the star, which is the goal, okay? So the goal, and the star archetype is synonymous with goals, right? Setting goals, dreams, things that we are striving for. So, to me, it really feels like you really kind of live in so many different roles in your life. You're somebody who's very busy. You are constantly shifting from one thing to the next. You're really good at knowing how to communicate with your audience. Okay, now when I say audience, I mean the person you're talking to, the environment that you are in, right? The way that you kind of, live your life and express yourself is probably fairly different at home versus your places or place of work. Right? Or where you spend kind of your social. And so I feel that really there is a sense of something from your youth. And I believe that this is probably somebody that is like a best friend. Like you've known them for years. Maybe you have known them since you were a baby, but maybe not. Maybe you've only known them for, 3 or 4 years, but it feels like you've known them forever. Okay? And to me, it seems like you've stayed close enough to actually kind of share in your dreams a bit. Maybe you have timed things to be similar. Right, like having kids at the same time. Maybe working at the same places or starting a business together. Or maybe even, you have moved in together and moved out and moved in. And maybe it is that, at times when you are in like an involved relationship, maybe you're married or whatever. And if there is ever kind of a breaking up or separation, this is the person that you kind of, live beside, or you end up, having a brief like roommate situation. Like you can just count on them. You can count on them. They can count on you. You know that you're going to be there for each other. And so I feel that like the big dream here, has been building a life together where it almost feels like a companionship, but I don't think that this is romantic in that physical way. I don't think it's romantic even in the, like, I'm in love with you. And not even a hint of, like, there's a crush or somebody's been holding a flame quietly for, the last 45 years. I don't think that's what it is, but I think that there's such a closeness. It is so much like family that you've been through, and that's what the duck is. The duck is all about getting through the most difficult, turbulent times, if you could think of the water, the waves, and ducks just kind of gliding over it. With the flag, it makes me really believe that you are discussing your next move together. And I think that in this time, that there is something where, and this is why I really believe this is like starting a little business together. I believe that, like, you're actually going to go forward, like put some money into it, put some time and effort into it. And I want to see. I'm going to turn this thing and see, like, where does that lead us? Now, I'm already into this reading, but I also want to say thank you so much for being here. It is always such a huge honor to spend this time with you. If you want to like, subscribe, or leave a comment, I'd love to hear from you. Also, if you have a prayer request, put it in the comments or email it to me. I've received quite a few emails lately for prayer requests. And, sometimes I will not reply back with like some lengthy reply. And if you receive kind of a shorter email from me, I just want you to know it's not because I'm disinterested or, I don't want to kind of partake in the conversation with you and sharing of energies with you. I just don't always know what to say. And I'm working on it. I am working on it. I either go all the way in and it's this long thing and you're like, okay, Lenor, that's cool. Like, chill out. Or it kind of, I try to keep it a little simple. I don't want to ramble on an emotional kind of email. So, just wanted to mention this. I mean, it's something that obviously you can tell. I'm a conversational texter. Like, they're long. It's just so, like, I text what I'm thinking, even when I'm changing my mind as the sentence is going on. So you might be lucky if you don't get a bit long email back from me. But anyways, let's get into this a little bit deeper. We have the UFO up here. We have the moon. Okay. We also have, it looks like a little mountain range. Okay. I want to turn this a little bit. Okay. We have a child right up here. The head, eyes, mouth. And also wearing some kind of like a wreath or a hat. We have the goat over here. We have a person here and a person here. We also have another one over here. It looks like fishing. So, to me, and we have the two parents and the baby being helped. Okay. See, now when I first got like into this rotation of the bowl, I kind of almost thought, like, is there a child in your life that feels gifted psychically, maybe clairvoyance, but there's just an energy that is almost kind of, I mean, and I don't, this is not, has a fairly off-putting person sometimes myself. Okay, so I'm not disparaging anybody. I'm simply just telling you, like, the feeling that I'm getting, which is a tightness in the chest and almost kind of like a clenching of the hands, but not in anger. This isn't anger. This is almost kind of like a, you'll just sometimes meet people, and hopefully it's very rarely, and hopefully it's nobody you know deeply, right? But sometimes you'll come upon somebody that has an energy that is so, it feels just unsafe. I don't know how else to say it. Unsafe. Not exactly knowing like what they're going to do. They feel like maybe reactive. But there's also a lingering something around them. Okay. Now, I don't know if this is a child that is in your life. There's just something about them, but I don't feel like it's like, okay, this is like a kid that really acts out and is, you really got to keep your eye on them when you're around them. I don't think it's like that necessarily, but it's like they seem otherworldly, but it almost is like there's like a sense of dread around them. But here's the thing is that I almost wonder if this is you. And I'm not trying to say that this is actually how you feel. I wonder if this is like your perception or a meta perception. This is how you believe that other people perceive you, as you being very off-putting. Like, people don't like you. People come in the room and they kind of maybe glance and then they look down and they avoid conversation, and this, you perceive it as being something about you. Like, I must be like kind of that black cloud in the room. I think often it has nothing to do with you. Almost always it has nothing to do with you. Not many people are very good at picking up the energies of others and acting on it. And let me explain why. Because we are conditioned to be around people who make us feel uncomfortable all day long. All day long. We have conditioned ourselves and conditioned each other and been conditioned to put up with a great deal of discomfort even when our intuition tells us this is not a good person to be around. This is somebody who is a detriment to my wellness, psychically, mentally, emotionally, physically. And listen, maybe you have had a neighbor at work that just absolutely, you have to be there next to them because, listen, you need the job. It's a good job. But you happen to be around somebody every day who absolutely drains you, who absolutely just leaves you with an icky feeling. You never feel like you can be off guard around them. That is terrible. It's a terrible feeling for anybody. But I feel like for you, and I feel like you worry that this is the person that you are. Like you are the energy vampire that comes in the room, or you think that people perceive you that way. But I really believe that is completely not the case. And even when people have told you, like, dude, what are you talking about? You're the best. I love being around you. You're okay, cool. I can receive part of that. But there's also then that sneaking suspicion. Are they just trying to pacify me, right? And I feel like at times you get into these like sinking places where you feel like this kind of almost alienated, maybe avoided, neglected, rejected child. Like the one that doesn't get picked, or when you go ask to play with all the kids and they say, no, you're not allowed to play with us, or something like that, right? Just the feeling of devastation. And so I feel as though, and this is where that alien and the moon really comes in as well, really. There is almost this sense of, having felt alienated, and I know on the notes, right? But feeling othered, right? Not ever feeling like you are part of the in, right? Always wondering, like, what's the joke? I mean, this is me. I'm pointing at myself too. I feel like this completely. And just kind of trying to navigate being a human being when you don't always feel like a human being, right? You don't always feel like these are the people that are my peers and, I am alike and, we all kind of are on the same wave. I don't think this ever happens to you. I don't think you often, or maybe you've never felt like you found your place, your group of people. Now, I say all this not to like build it up and be like, look at you haven't found your place in the world, But I think that probably, and I pray for this for you, that probably what is happening, and I see this with especially the Capricorn or the goat energy. And I see it with the two people over here. This one to me is almost kind of like the warrior that is beloved, right? That has a belovedness, not just poured onto them, but they are a lover themselves. Soft and giving and caring and empathetic, but also fierce. Fierce and with the ability to protect, to give form and keep that form, right? To be consistent and devoted. And that is really that archetype of the knight, right? Somebody who has given their entire being to their work, to their belief system, to their way of life, to something that is wholly important to them and holy, right? So, to me, it feels like you have fortified yourself through this experience of feeling not included. Not all the time anyways. Now, I still feel that you desire that connection and that wanting somebody to pull you in, or a group of people to really, want to be around you, to be involved with you, to do the things with you, and, be in the group chat and planning stuff and, whatever. I think that you do desire this, okay? But I feel like in this time, you are coming into a deeper confidence. You are realizing that you have not been alone this whole time. That you have, throughout your life, consistently been there for yourself. That you have put a lot into your development. You didn't squander, these moments of kind of being a solitary person by lamenting and becoming destructive and, vying for attention, even if it's negative. I don't think that was you. Maybe you went through a little phase of that here and there. But no, I think that you've made the most of it. And now, as you are in this age of really embracing your power, right? I feel that you look over your life and you see that you avoided a lot of distraction. You avoided, I think a lot of the troubles and pitfalls that come along with having not only just like family, but extended friends group and being a very social being. Now, that all being said, I also believe that you are at a point in your life where now it looks like we have a community. We have the little houses. They're kind of all over the place. And we have a person standing here still. We have this very energetic feeling of the mother, the middle goddess. And these two symbols together lead me to believe that you are finding, that you are beginning to relate to people. I think that you've decided to go out into the world a little bit. You are starting to have the outline of a community. And so I do feel in this cycle you are being proactive, and maybe thinking outside the box a little bit. Now, this is just normal behavior about 40 years ago, 30 years ago. But now, these days, it's like we're relearning how to be social beings. But yeah, like joining, I don't know, like a softball league or something. Going to some kind of common interest meetup type of deal. Looking in I actually have a friend who I was helping the other day, looking up like things at the library, right? Like classes, things to go and do to be around other adults, other people who are maybe, feeling like all I do is I go to work and then I come home and I'm alone at home, or, and I want to be around people. I want to talk to somebody. I want to, meet somebody or whatever it is. And maybe not doing the best with the dating apps and, trying to meet somebody online or the old-fashioned way through friends or whatever. So starting to widen the net a little bit, and also find things that sound cool, like these wine and painting kind of classes, or, build your first stamp collection class or whatever it is, but just going and seeing what it's about. The worst that could happen is, you just kind of do something that's maybe a little quirky or a little bit, not really what you're into, but you try something new and maybe you start to meet people in your community, make some connections. So I do feel like there's a sense of coming to terms with, but by really just kind of really embracing your power where you excel and really loving that and loving the things where you do struggle a little bit too, but looking at that with tenderness, right? Looking at ourselves and thinking maybe I'm not the most social person. Maybe I have a hard time talking to people in public, or, coming up and saying something to somebody I don't know or whatever, but that's okay. That's all right. And, at times it's probably kept you safe. And made things faster. I know when I go in the grocery store and I don't chit chat with anybody, I'm in and out. I'm in and out. Now I have become a bit of a chatter, a little bit, not anything crazy, but I do talk to people a little bit more than I used to. And it's baby steps, right? But sometimes we need to embrace ourselves and just that's what it is. That's what I'm like. And that's okay. I like that we are changing our thinking about this with kids as well. I love when I experience a family where you say hi to the kid, you say hi to the parent, and the kid won't say hi back. They kind of maybe cower behind, or they just look at you or whatever. Now, back in the day, somebody would say, hey, you better say hi. Or, oh, don't worry, they're just shy, or whatever. Now, sometimes I accidentally do this, right? I'll say, oh, sorry, my daughter's shy, or whatever. I should not be apologizing for her. I shouldn't be explaining for her. If she doesn't want to say hello, she doesn't have to. Okay? If she feels like somebody is off-putting and she is kind of like, I don't know about this person, good, I'm glad. That means she's listening to herself, right? So when I experience a family and they do this and they won't apologize for their kid, they won't force their kid, I'm like, yes, right on. We are changing the way that we treat ourselves through this kind of action, right? We are raising kids that aren't afraid to feel how they feel and to act on that feeling. Now, if it's like anger or rage, we gotta learn how to control that one, right? And maybe even being a little shy. We'll learn. But it should not be conditioned out of us so young to not follow our instincts, even if they don't always lead us and, always scared of somebody or something that they quickly warm up to, right? There's nothing wrong with it. So I don't know. I think it's a wonderful change. And it seems very small, but I'll tell you, it's going to have lasting ramifications for people. And I don't know if ramifications mean bad. Maybe that means bad. Lasting changes throughout the collective psyche. And I love it. I'm all about that autonomy. Now, we also have another person over here on the back of an animal, okay, looking up at the sky. I feel that truly this part of the reading towards the beginning when we were talking about you and your friend, somebody that you've grown up with, you've known them for a long while. I see you coming together to work together, and you're really in that dreamy phase. And that's the big thing. There's just a sense of so many ideas. So much, like excited. Let's try this. Or remember when we did that? We should do it this way this time. Or whatever it is. But I feel like there's an excitement. Especially when you are talking to this person, when you're with them, when you are making plans together. I feel like it gets wildly exciting. Now, we have 3 lucky numbers. Our first one is number 9. Of course it is. I'm reading on Thursday. 9 is always related to Thursday for me. It is a bit of a Sabbath day. Now we have the number 45. 45. The number 9 is a really, it's a holy number for a lot of people, but for me in my own personal work, it is maybe one of the most important numbers. Now we have 27. 27. All right, now we're going to end with our Wild Offering Oracle cards. And I'm just going to flip through, stop where it feels right. And it says, loneliness. When you stop fearing aloneness, You stop settling for less than you deserve. May I embrace and love my solitude. And that's when kindred spirits can finally come. Literally what we just kind of talked about in this reading. Yeah, everything is coming together today. Yesterday was a nightmare for us over here. We had so many things go wrong. It was ridiculous. I even broke a glass. It just was wild. So, yeah. And it was hot. It's been so hot. So anyways, I'm like really just still. I need a mental rest from the last couple days. But I hope everything's been good for you. I mean, it's nothing bad, nothing terrible. Just car things and stuff breaking and, just things needing to be rescheduled and yeah, whatever. It's all just tedious stuff and it'll all get worked out, but it feels like a lot when it's all happening. And it's like 100 degrees with the humidity. So, yes. Sagittarius, I love you. I love you. I love you. If you want to like, subscribe, or leave a comment, I'd love to hear from you. Other than that, I'm just going to say goodnight again. We're going now. We'll talk soon. Good night.